As part of the Transatlantic Teacher Scholars Project, a team created 3D representations of a selection of sites important to the American story at the Meuse-Argonne. LIDAR, which illuminates an object with a laser and then analyzes the light that is reflected, was used to create 3D images of 5 sites at 4 locations. These visualizations are intended to help the viewer gain a spatial understanding of these sites and spark an interest in the greater narrative that the sites are a part of. This tour traces the generally northward movement of American forces in the Meuse-Argonne. We start in the southern sector of the Meuse-Argonne offensive at the jump-off point for an American division, the 35th, at Vauquois Hill. We then move north to the ruined village of Montfaucon, continue further north to the Côte d'Amme-Marie, and finish at the Meuse-Argonne American Cemetery in Romagna, where more than 14,200 Americans who lost their lives in the Meuse-Argonne offensive rest to this day. The butte, or hill, of Vauquois was once the site of a village that overlooked the plain to the north towards Montfaucon and further to the Côte d'Amme-Marie, 9 miles away. A critical battle raged for the town and the view it provided. The battle started on the 24th of September 1914, when the German army took the entirety of the hill and village. The French realized the critical nature of the hill and regained the height at the cost of 3,000 lives by mid-March 1915. It was at that point the line stabilized and the War of the Mines would start. It was impossible for either opponent to dislodge the other through the force of infantry soldiers and artillery. It was thought that by mining under the enemy's side that a large enough explosion could be set off to blow them off the hill. The layout and contents of the tunnels and galleries under Vauquois Hill are as the German soldiers left them in September 1918. We are viewing a small segment of the German galleries. First, we visit living quarters, still complete with bunks for 4 soldiers and a separate small chamber with a dining table. Moving down the hall from the living quarters, we see a small chapel. Plumbing pipe sits on the floor as the troops left it, as does a stack of bottles. Further along the same hallway, we pass a furnace and water heater on the way to a kitchen. The kitchen still holds a large stove that was used to feed the soldiers housed here. Over the course of 4 years, more than 10 miles of tunnels were dug, and 519 separate explosions were set off that reduced the height of the hill 24 feet and created a crater a mile in length, from 150 to 800 feet wide, and between 30 to 165 feet deep. On the 26th of September 1918, the young, inexperienced American Army started the Meuse-Argonne offensive. The goal, the town and rail lines of Sedan, 35 miles to the north. The German observation post is located above ground to the southwest of the entrance to the living quarters. The observation post was used to sight artillery firing on the villages, rail lines, and French positions to the south. The thick concrete roof has been destroyed, leaving iron girders protruding above the walls in its place. It was the National Guardsmen from Kansas and Missouri, the 35th Division, that took Vauquois, surrounding the hill and finding only a remnant of the German forces who had lived and fought there for 4 years. The town and hill of Vauquois remains as it was found in 1918, its 168 residents never to permanently return. The German army took the village of Montfaucon in September of 1914. Under the direction of the German Crown Prince, observation posts were built within the village, which sat atop high ground, allowing the spotting of artillery that commanded the French positions to the south. One of these observation posts was built inside the chapel and still stands today. Others litter the south face of the hill, throughout the area once occupied by the village. The most famous observatory was known as the Crown Prince's Observatory, and was located in a manor house in the village. During the Meuse-Argonne offensive, Montfaucon lay within the main belt of German positions. Situated approximately 3 miles north of the American jump-off point, Montfaucon was the first objective of the 79th Division, which consisted primarily of draftees from Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. When the 79th approached the village on September 26, 1918, it lay in ruins. The chapel appeared as it does today. Today, a monument maintained and administered by the American Battle Monuments Commission commemorates the American victory in the Meuse-Argonne. The monument itself is a Doric column over 200 feet in height, constructed of granite and topped by a statue symbolizing liberty. The view from the top of the tower is panoramic, encompassing much of the ground over which the battle was fought. The foyer contains an engraved map of the area of the offensive and a tribute to the troops of the American Expeditionary Force who served in the Meuse-Argonne. The Côte d'Armorié lies just over 2 kilometers west of the Meuse-Argonne American Cemetery. The eminence provided one of the strongest points among the main German defensive position, the Hindenburg Line. We are viewing an Austrian command post, a reinforced concrete bunker that would have likely been used to command a regiment stationed on the hill. Howitzer pits and trenches still stand on the crest. The roof of the command post is approximately 5 feet thick concrete, reinforced with steel. There are 2 rooms inside, likely used by staff officers, possibly for both work and living quarters. After repeated costly attacks, this position was finally taken by the 32nd Division on October 14, 1918. The taking of this high ground, among the last positions of natural terrain advantage held by the German army in the Meuse-Argonne, forced the German defenders into open country to the north. This set up the jump-off points for the final American attack on November 1, 1918. The highly successful attack of November 1st, continuing until the armistice on November 11th, drove the Germans from the region and greatly contributed to the ending of the war. The chapel and Meuse-Argonne Cemetery were established at this location because this was the site of over 21,000 temporary burials of the over 26,000 American dead from the Meuse-Argonne campaign. It is at the heart or center of one of the largest battles in American history, a battle that encompassed over 400 square miles with 47 days of continuous combat. The cemetery was established in the epicenter of the battle, where the distances previously gained were measured in miles and time in days, now slowed painfully to yards and hours. The chapel occupies the center of the memorial. The area near the cemetery was fought over for 1 month, an area that stretched 3 miles wide north to south and 21 miles long east to west. The altar is backed by a semicircle of flags of the United States and the principal Allied nations in World War I. Stained glass windows in the east and west walls hold the division patches of the American units engaged in the Meuse-Argonne offensive. It was at this focal point, this band of forest and rolling hills, that the seasoned and experienced German soldier met the young and relatively naive American doughboy.